Welcome! Listen to this next Agile Vocalist podcast.
Vidya Srinivasan was introduced to the world of music at age 2 by her parents. Her mother taught her the Sapthaswarangal, or 7 notes in music. She was enrolled in music school at age 3 to learn Carnatic music, a form of Indian classical music. She gave her first solo concert at age 5 and holds a degree in Carnatic music. Since then, Vidya has performed in 4 Indian TV shows in Tamil and Telugu and numerous stage shows. Her voice appeared in Sapthaswarangal and Ennodu Paadungal, popular reality music and short films in Tamil. Vidya learned Carnatic music under the tutelage of renowned singers like Mrs. Kunakudi Sabalakshmi and Mr. Ajay Nambudari. After moving to the U.S. for higher studies, Vidya started performing with Indian bands at charitable events and Indian cultural celebrations in both North Carolina and Washington. She sings in 4 different languages and likes to experiment across different music types to create hybrid mashups. Music continues to be Vidya's favorite escape from her work with Facebook, and she often opens her tech talks with a song, always a hit with audiences. So I guess my first question is, why don't you share a little bit about how did you get started with the passion of singing and music?
Yeah, so my choice of getting into music was totally not mine. You know, my mom was really interested in music since her childhood, and she really wanted to kind of pass it on to me. So she enrolled me in a music school at, I think, 2.5, 3 years of age. It was an age where I could not really grasp what was happening, but I couldn't really sing, but I had a good ear for music. So she tells me, these fond memories of where she used to just take me to the music class and make me sit every week for like an hour, just so that I see other people singing. That's it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then, I come back, and then she knows, like, she learned a bit of music, and, she knows. So she used to teach me at home, and that's how I kind of started, so I don't really remember a childhood without music in it, because I just grew up with music. Like, it's a very obvious thing to me. Like, I went to music school first, even before going to kindergarten.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's we dragged against my better wishes, we dragged my daughter in diapers to chorus rehearsals. And I found that very difficult because I felt like I needed to be responsible for her and make sure she didn't upset the other singers. But yeah, she became very musical before she was potty trained.
Yeah. So. And I think it's, I've read so many studies around how, getting exposed to music at a young age can actually help your brain develop very differently.
Yes.
I, for one, I'm so thankful that, music became a part of my life at such a young age, because I really cannot imagine a life without music now.
Right.
Definitely thankful for my mother for that.
நம்மை வாடச் சொல்லும் அந்த வாழ்த்து போயவில்லை என்றென்றும் வானில் நிலா காய்கிறது நேரம் தேய்கிறது யாரும் ரசிக்கவில்லை.
What I want to do now is take 4 different languages, 4 different musical forms, and then sing a snippet in each of that to show how diverse music is and music can actually be, and how privileged we are actually to live in a world that is filled with such diverse music. So I'm going to start with a Carnatic song, which is in the language Telugu, which is one of the regional languages in India, and then follow that up with a Tamil filmy song, which talks about how beautiful the nature around us is. Follow that up with a melodious Hindi film song, and then close it out with a powerful song by Adele in English. Okay? So.
Great. Thank you.
What we're using right now is called a shruti, which gives a sense of the right pitch for musicians. Singers in both Carnatic and Hindustani, which are the two distinct classical music forms in India, use some form of shruti to help us understand what the right pitch is. So here's the first one.
Sa 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 ni sa ni pa ma pa ni sa re gari sa ni endaro mahano bhavulu sa maganalola manasi jala वण्यधन्यमो धन्योरेन्दरो महानो भावुलो. And now we're moving on to the Tamil song, which talks about how beautiful the nature around us is. காற்று வீசும் வெயில் காயும் காயும் அதில் மாற்றமேதுமில்லையே வானும் மண்ணும் நம்மை வாழச் சொல்லும் அந்த வாழ்த்து ஓயவில்லை என்றென்றும் வானில் நிலா காய்கிறது நேரம் தேய்கிறது யாரும் ரசிக்கவில்லையே இந்த கண்கள் மட்டும் உன்னை காணும். And now we move on to a Hindi song, which is about love. फिर ले आया दिल मजबूर क्या कीजिए रास ना आया रहना दूर क्या कीजिए दिल कह रहा उसे मुकम्मल कर भी आओ वो जो अधूरी सी याद बाकी है वो जो अधूरी सी बात बाकी है वो जो अधूरी सी याद बाकी है. And then we close it out with Adele, who's one of my favorite singers' songs. When you photograph you in this life, in case it is the last time that we might be exactly like we were before we realized we were sad of getting old and made us restless. It was just like a movie. It was just like a song when we were young.
So do you want to fast forward a little bit to getting a master's in computer science and how I think part of the story that I've researched about you is that music was a healer for you and it was tied into your journey getting a master's degree. You want to tell that story?
Yeah. So, for me, I think in India, through my schooling, through my college, I was always a part of, some or the other band, right? In schools, we used to have a school band and I was a singer there. And college, we had a college band and we used to compete. We had so many different, inter-college competitions, and competitions that we used to just go and, compete and sing. And I was, experimenting a lot. And especially during my bachelor's in India, I sang in 4 different TV shows.
Wow.
Yeah. So I experimented quite a bit, I would say, in both the Carnatic, which is one of the Indian classical music forms, as well as, working with independent artists, and singing for like short films and stuff, as well as, experimenting with like film music and stuff, right? So I did quite a bit of that. And I've always wanted to pursue both like tech and music, I've always wanted to, I never wanted to like choose one because I guess
Right.
Back in that time, I just did not know which one I like more. I like both equally.
Right.
So when I came to the US here, all of a sudden, it was, first of all, I was in a different continent than, my family. And
Right.
came with like two suitcases,
Right.
and all I had. And I had to do everything on my own, which is not something that I am used to. In India, you have a very big support system who help you with pretty much everything. Like over here, I had to do my own laundry, I had to do my own cooking, I had to do my own,
Right.
cleaning, I had to do my own studies. It was a lot. It was quite overwhelming.
Right. And another country.
Very different culture,
Yes.
And grad school was, I came to grad school without having any work experience. So I literally like graduated from my bachelor's in May and then flew to the US in July.
Wow.
So, I didn't really have the right word, I think right now, if I look back now, is maturity.
Mm.
When I looked at my peers, who have worked for 4 years or, I even had few who were married and had kids who came and did masters with me, like who were my classmates, right?
Wow.
So I was in a very different, mindset.
Right.
But music, I think, definitely helped me through the journey because I had to adapt to a very different culture. I had to adapt to a very different lifestyle.
Right.
And the one constant I did have with me was music.
नैना लगियां बारिशां रोवे पल कोने कोने विच नींद मेरी नैना लगियां बारिशां जो दिगड़े ने चोट लगे दिल ते नैना लगियां बारिशां रुत बिरहां दे बदल दी छा गई खाली 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 रातों से होने लगी है दोस्ती
I remember, there were days when, I used to have an exam or something, test something the next day, and I used to get stressed, and I used to go on, just put on my, AirPods and, headphones and, listen to music to calm myself.
Yeah.
There were times when I felt homesick.
Yeah.
I missed my mom, I missed my dad, and I felt like crying. I think I even used music to vent out my feelings, to cry and to kind of feel better because, when you're coming to a different continent,
right,
you miss your family, you miss your friends, you miss all the fun you had, especially during festival seasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
India was beautiful. And over here, it was cold and it was snowing, and, which is beautiful now. I appreciate all of it now. But back then I was like, why am I not with my family and friends celebrating Diwali?
Right. And this is North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. This was in North Carolina. Yeah. So I think at all of those times, the one constant I did have with me was my music. Like I had amazing friends, like friends who truly are family, we're family, are still family to me.
Yeah.
But, you still sometimes need your own space to kind of process all the emotions and figure out and then march towards the goal that you came here for. And I guess I used music for getting motivated. I used music for calming myself. I used music to cry. I used music to feel happy. I have a song for everything. Like even now, if I'm sad, there's a particular song I listen to and
I just
I cry it out, I guess, and then move to the next thing.
What language is that song in?
It's actually a Hindi song.
Okay.
It's called Lukka Chuppi, and it's sung by Lata Mangeshkar, who's a melodious queen of music in India. She's oh my God, her songs truly move you. And Lukka Chuppi is from a film called Rang De Basanti, and it's a song where a mom loses her son, and she sings saying, "Where are you? Like, I'm actually searching for you, but you're not around me."
Oh my gosh.
Like, the situations that I definitely was not in that situation, but the depth of the song, it's not even the words for me. It's the depth of the song and the voice that how the melody progresses. It automatically puts you in a very different zone. Once I graduated, I started my career at Microsoft, and I had to leave my second home, which was North Carolina, and move to Seattle, which was the other end of the coast, and starting from scratch all over again. Like I had no friends when I came here. All my, like, grad school, you bond
Right, of course.
community, and then everybody just, went to different places around the country as they found their jobs. And
Wow.
again, I used music to kind of help me figure it out,
Sure. Sure. Can you talk a little bit about, and this is an interesting one now, given the context of, one coast, the East Coast of the US and the West Coast of the US and a new continent coming from India. Can you talk about what you see about how the arts are regarded in India, where you're from, and how they're regarded in the US?
Yeah. So this again, based on my limited exposure, I would say. So definitely not a generic statement. But what I observed was in India, especially in South India, where I come from, arts are very deeply imbibed into your upbringing.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody I know of in my family, in my friends, in my community, were motivated, encouraged to learn some form of arts, be it singing, be it dance, be it, an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was a given almost. Like if you just went to school, people would be like, well, you just go to school? Like what, you don't do anything? So it was a very, like, we didn't know another way. I think that's a better way to put it.
Well, I'm curious a little, was sports one of the things that could have been, in addition to just going to school?
That's the thing that I noticed. Over here, I actually feel a lot more emphasis than placed on sports.
Uh-huh.
In South India, there was a lot more emphasis on arts.
Yeah.
So either, painting or dancing or instrument or music or some form of art.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So like for example, I actually learned, I've been learning music ever since I was born, I guess. But I also, learned classical dance for about 2 years.
Okay.
I learned a little bit of painting. Like my parents, I guess, they got me exposed to different things. And they basically said, you pick what you want to, double down on.
Oh, interesting.
I tried dance. I gave like one stage show and I'm like, yeah, wonderful, but definitely not for me.
Okay.
I am much comfortable just taking my, voice and like just going and singing.
Right.
Similarly, I'm really bad at drawing, like really bad. You wouldn't want me drawing or painting.
Okay.
But you get exposed to, you have the opportunity to experience different things and see what resonates with you and what is it that you love. And over here, I think there's a lot more emphasis on, sports, definitely.
Right.
And, any outdoorsy activity. Like I see pretty much all my colleagues, they take their kids skiing at ages 3 and 4. Like I've not heard of such thing in India. First of all, the weather is not compatible for that. But even then, I haven't heard of, many 3 and 4-year-olds going, I don't know, hiking or, that's not really that common back in India. So I think that's the big shift that I found, where the emphasis on art versus emphasis on, sports and outdoor activities is very different. And that could just be, how it has been passed on through generations. Yeah. Right. And, like just in my family, if you look, like we have a piano player, we have a violinist, we have somebody who plays percussions, we have somebody who dances, we have somebody who sings, we have just in my own family. Wow. So
your nuclear family.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we like just a first degree, Yeah. Yeah. Indian families are usually very big, but this is just my first degree of family, right? So there's a lot more, you're motivated. And also, I guess, I was fortunate to have the support to kind of continue this music, because a lot of people, they learn it for a few years and they're like, yeah, okay, cool. But then I guess some people that do really stick with it. And I was just so fortunate that I had the opportunity to like stick with it and continue investing, continue learning. There's just so much to learn in music. Right. So I'm just fortunate that, I was able to continue learning and still learn.
And so you took the technical route for your career, but not really, because you sort of refer to music as a side hustle. I don't know. Can you talk about that? Especially the other thing that I noticed is, I think you had said that even in the pandemic, you would reach toward music. And I found that really interesting, because I think a lot of singers, myself included, were like, the pandemic, and we like shrunk into our hole, and eventually we came out, but it's really hard because this is, virtual music is not enough.
Yeah.
It's not.
I've always wondered, well, my ideal North Star would be having an opportunity to excel at both, to do justice to both, and like to pursue both. But it's very hard, especially if you're in core tech.
Yeah.
Like I used to work at Microsoft, I now work at Facebook, and these are your job can be very demanding,
right?
And because the work you're doing is impacting millions and billions of people,
right?
So you are involved in a lot of critical decisions at work, and there's so much going on at the same time where you have to keep switching, and you have to keep juggling, you have to stay on top of so many things, I would say, not just your own work, but also the broader industry. And, I'm also very much involved in a lot of diversity and inclusion efforts outside of my job. So I chair this conference called the Grace Hopper Conference, which is one of the largest conferences for women in technology.
Yep.
That's a very integral part of my identity, I would say, in tech, because this is me doing much more than what I alone as an individual can do with the help of this community. And being a part of this community gives me a lot of strength, and it gives me an opportunity to serve so many other people who were like me just a few years ago. So, doing that and my work, and of course I have a family of my own, and it definitely is a lot, I would say. I do wish I had, I don't know, I think everybody says this, I had 48 hours in a day, so I could do 24 hours of this and 24 hours of that. But it's not realistic.
That was inspiring. Be sure to listen again soon.
Agile Vocalist is created and produced by Rachel Medanek. Contributing editors include Ben Kruger and Daisy Owen. Design by Amanda Whitesell and Sasha Brandt. With special thanks to my husband, Dave.